Hi, this is Keith with How to Build Your Own Home. I want to answer a question that I've been asked a lot, and it has to do with, should I build up or should I build down? Meaning, should I go with a basement or should I go up and build a second story on the home? I want to kind of give you my thoughts on the thing. It could be the pros and cons of both, but it's really just kind of my thoughts on the thing. I'm a real fan of building up rather than down. I don't like building in caves. I don't like the darkness. Yeah, it can be the requirement for some walkout basements. You're building on a hill. You kind of have to do that. I've got a build like that coming up in the fall where we will build a walkout basement. But if, let's say, you had two home sites and they're basically the same, they're very flat and level, and you had to decide, should I build a basement or should I go up? Well, if I build a basement, here's what you're going to run into. I've got to get a big excavator there, and I've got to dig a big hole, and then I've got to move that dirt somewhere else. Now, there's a huge cost involved in that is not actually going to the structure of the home. When I spend money as a builder, I like to make sure that the money I'm spending is going right to actual physical material that actually builds the home. That's a real plus. If you think in those terms, you can actually put more money into the home rather than into the things that you're preparing to build a home. So the excavation costs are huge. And then if you don't know that you can keep that dirt on site, again, you got to haul that off. So think about that. Also think about basements. They are notorious for leaking. And so it's not a matter of if, but when someday there's going to be a leak and it's going to come into that basement. We used to have basements for years. Our parents would buy homes with basements. They were unfinished, and then you can finish it off later, which is great. You can save that money, not have to finish off the basement, and you can save that for later. You can cash flow that. However, here's something to think about. If you throw attic trusses in a house, if you look at all the wasted space in homes today, just drive through your neighborhoods and look at the roofs. I can look through neighborhoods and I can see that there's a huge amount of space wasted in the attics upstairs. I purchased an old 1919 Pioneer home. I walked up there, I had almost 9 feet of clearance in the attic. A huge waste of space. I ended up converting it into an upstairs bedroom. And so if I'm building trusses and I'm rolling trusses on a house, throw up some attic trusses. You could do a 7-12 attic truss with maybe a 2 or 3 foot heel and create all that space. The caveat is that a lot of cities and county building departments are going to ask and demand that you finish off that space. They don't like unfinished space above the subfloor, above the basement area. But I've dealt with some cities before, and if you approach them and say, we are not putting stairs in there, that's just space for HVAC or attic storage, and then you can finish it off later. One city required that I could put stairs there, but I needed to put a fire door at the top and then seal that, kind of seal it off with a fire door and call that unfinished space. They would go on the county records as actual finished square footage for tax purposes, but at least I can hold off on finishing that later. So I've dealt with cities where you can delay the finish of the exterior second floor to some degree. If you have bathrooms and stuff like that, they may want that finished. Talk with your building department. Ask them and find out. The reason why people want to do the basement is because they think they can finish it off and it's a place for family to grow. But you can do that up and use the truss situation, use the roof structure to encapsulate additional square footage. To me, that's a real plus. The other thing to think about is if your half of your house in the room upstairs comes to about the 6 foot mark or maybe the 5 foot mark, and that wall right there, that's part of the inside living space, that's your roof. That's some of the cheapest square footage you can imagine. Remember, the exterior wall, as I've mentioned in previous videos, is some of your biggest expense. You got your insulation studs, sheeting, exterior siding, stucco, whatever you may want to put on the outside, brick. And then you've got your inside drywall, and of course your tape, texture, mud, prime, paint. A lot of different subcontractors building the wall right here. But on that roof, you've just got your sheeting, your roofing material, and maybe some insulation down below. There's a lot more affordability for that. So I hope that really does nail it for you, that whether you want to go down or up, think about it yourself, but I think of terms of I don't like wasting money and I don't like wasting airspace. And the roofs are some of the biggest wasted space in all of our building in America today. We waste way too many opportunities upstairs. So utilize that space inside. You'd be amazed how much you can utilize and how efficient that can be for the entire design of the home. This is Keith Kells giving you the pros and cons of building up or building down with How to Build Your Own Home.